Let me show you an example of this process. Let's say your goal, your motivation, is to build a comfortable retirement for yourself. That's your goal. Now, here is how to apply this to your situation. Let's just say there's a gap in what you have now and what you need for when you retire. You know, bridging the retirement gap is a great motivator. Now, here's a graph, a visualization of bridging your retirement gap. You know, look at the blue line. Is your equity or your worth. Now, from your years from 0 to 20, we're usually not worth that much. We've been in school, we haven't been making much money. Then after 20, people start working and they start making money. And maybe they go out and they buy a car and they go into a little bit of debt with that. But then a few years down the track, people start making more money, they start saving more, and they start building up their equity. But then, life comes in as well, and you maybe get married or you want to buy a house. Maybe you have kids and just costs start ramping up. And by the time people are 40 years old, they come up with maybe $550,000 in debt, and they're making good money. They're going through their best earning years, but they're sitting there at 40 years old with over $500,000 in debt, looking down to retirement and saying like, wow, how do I want to retire? Well, if I have $2 million and a conservative return is 5%, 5% of $2 million is $100,000 a year. So if your retirement goal is to live on $100,000 a year by the time you're 65 or 70, well, you need $2 million clear and your house. So how are you going to make that happen? What are you going to do? That's your goal now, to turn the negative 550 into 2 million. And you've got 25 years to do it. Well, let's start on it. You look at your financial position and your investment capacity. So you own your own home worth $500,000 and a $250,000 loan against it. You got $5,000 in shares, maybe $80,000 in cash. So you have $585,000 in equity all up, and you have $250,000 in debt. Net asset position of $335,000. We got to turn that into $2 million. Well, looking at your property situation, you got $250,000 in debt against $500,000. That's a 50% LVR, loan to value ratio. We know banks will very easily lend 80% LVR. So based on that, you have $218,000 of equity in your property, which we call lazy equity. It's sitting there. It's not doing anything. It's just sitting there. And so with that $218,000 at the 80% LVR again, gives you the capacity to borrow and buy $1,090,000 worth of property. Now the average property value assumed is $500,000 plus costs, $27,500. So subject is serviceability. That serviceability means, the rent, making the interest payments. You can buy 2 properties. So buy the 2 properties and you're heading towards your retirement goal. So what about the property investment outcomes? We bought the properties. Now what's going to happen? So we're looking for capital growth because we know the rental income makes the interest payments. So we're looking for capital growth. So if we buy a property for $500,000, it gives us 3% capital growth. We get $171,000 after 10 years of holding it. It's not that great. Or we can get a 5% return, annual capital growth, 6 or 7% is the historical return on Australian properties over the past 35 years. Now, properties go up and down in value, and if you buy at the peak, then it's going to take you longer to get this growth. So it's, timing could be in it or location could be in it. But if you get the historical return at 7%, your property, $500,000 property doubles in 10 years and you have $500,000. So we do that 4 times. 4 times 500 is 2 million. You're there. That's how you get there. You get 7% return on your property for 10 years and buy 4 properties and you're there.